Excaliver continued. When we last saw our friends, Merlin was on ice, so to speak. Arthur was sick, enervated, depleted, no energy, just a dying man. The land did not seem to have a king, and so the condition of the land reflected directly the king's condition. And who else? Lancelot had run off to become a monk, but really a kind of populist monk, stirring up the masses and in expressing great, let's say, dissatisfaction with the king, which is very interesting because, after all, he had slept with the king's wife, his best friend. Sorry for the interruption. Okay, so, and Lancelot's condition is quite strange. Now, it's clear that something must be done. And so, the king, remember that the king has already made Morgana pregnant, though he was tricked, and Morgana produces the baby, Mordred. Mordred is, I suppose, the bad guy. But Mordred is raised to hate Arthur because Morgana hates Arthur, or apparently does. Morgana, the half-sister. She has some reasons, though it wasn't Arthur's fault. It was Uther's fault, and maybe Merlin's too. But anyway, Mordred is going to slowly grow up and have some magical powers, be apparently immortal. The only thing that could kill him is Excaliver. Okay, but what must be done? Arthur decides that what must be done is that the Knights of the Round Table must spread out all over England, all over the world, and search for the Holy Grail. Now this is important. And really it's a very interesting, maybe great legend. The idea is this. In Christ's Last Supper, the night before he was betrayed and crucified ultimately, he gave his 12 disciples wine from this special cup, which is called the Holy Grail. Then, at the crucifixion, Joseph of Arimathea, who paid for the burying of Christ, collected some of Christ's blood, legend, in this same cup. So this cup assumes a huge mythical dimension. Now, according to legend, then, all this medieval romance, what happened to that cup? Well, it found its way back to England because Joseph of Arimathea brought it to England. It was deposited in a monastery at Glastonbury, according to legend, but then no one could find it because it's kind of magical anyway. And according to the legend, the only person who can drink from it must be pure. And that means sexually pure and have a pure heart. Okay. Arthur decides in desperation that the only thing that can save not only the Round Table and Camelot, but England, is the Holy Grail. So out go the knights searching for the Holy Grail in a land that is already ailing and has many problems. Now, we follow adventure after adventure briefly, in which knights die looking for this Holy Grail. And as the years go by, most of the Knights of the Round Table die looking for the Holy Grail. Some come a little bit close to it, like Gawain, but Gawain wasn't pure enough. And Lancelot even, not in this story, but in other stories, had a chance, in Mallory, had a chance, but he was not pure enough either. Now, in Excaliber, as time goes by, we begin to focus more and more on Percival. I told you about Percival. He was a wild boy who first saw Lancelot in the woods, just was mesmerized, was exultant was just so his life was changed by that experience. Lancelot, his hero, but knighthood, his ideal, and his ideals are very high, higher ultimately than those of anyone else, including Lancelot. Okay, so gradually we focus on him, but he goes through a battle of loss of hope, despair, fear, that is maybe the best part of this Grail episode. Anyway, some of the knights find Morgana, and they are trapped by Morgana, sometimes seduced or tricked by Madonna, and killed. Percival is riding along, and suddenly he sees a boy, 13, 14, dressed in golden armor, hideous golden armor with a mask, who is on a horse though, kind of hidden, and he taunts him. "Ah, you, Percival, do you want to find the Holy Grail? Yes, follow me." Difficult path. And the boy enters a cave. Percival follows. But on his way, he passes in the woods, all this, a group of trees, and on the trees are hanging the corpses of dead knights. And we see terrible details about scavenger birds plucking out the eyes of these corpses, and it's a sickening thing. But it's especially sickening to think that these were great knights of the Round Table. So, Percival follows the boy, who is Mordred, of course. Well, that means that 12 or 13 years have passed already, and more will pass. Percival is tired. The land is tired. Everybody's tired. Mordred enters this cave, and he goes to his mother. Now, his mother has not changed physically at all. Clearly, her magical powers have prevented her aging, and she's still a beautiful, sensual woman. The tie between mother and son is a little bit frightening. And a couple of years later, it will seem really to be sexual. Incest. This is suggested in the film. Anyway, at this time, Percival enters the cave too, and Morgana says, "Come, rest. Let me help you rest." And she lays his head in her lap and holds him, and tries to get him to drink from a different cup. It's not the Grail, though it resembles the Grail. And this is a big moment. Will Percival yield? He's tired. His resistance powers are very low, but he doesn't drink it, even though he's desperate. Next scene, suddenly we find him hanging by a rope, and it's nighttime in that cluster of dead knights. A slow death, apparently. But we see that the rope that holds him is wearing away a little bit, is getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And we realize, this is typical of the whole movie, the whole concept. That is, what's really happening is Percival is being tested. Now he's nearly choking as he's hanging there, but that rope is growing thinner and thinner, and suddenly the rope snaps, and Percival falls to the ground. He's survived. He won't be killed now. Then he walks through the woods. By now it's daytime, and he comes upon some poor people, all in misery, women screaming, children screaming, everyone starving. A funeral procession apparently comes along to bury someone, and they see Percival, and they say, "That's Percival, one of Arthur's knights. Let's kill him." And among them is Lancelot. Lancelot acting kind of like a priest. He doesn't say kill him, but he says, he denounces him, Percival and Arthur. Yes, hurt him. it's crazy behavior by Lancelot, especially toward Percival. And poor Percival is just now really desperate because his ideal, his ideal is Lancelot, and Lancelot has turned against him and rejected him. So he's in despair, and meanwhile the poor people are hitting him. He has his armor on, so not hurt, but hitting him, and he falls back into a stream. And the stream carries him. He's half drowning a little bit as he screams, "Lancelot, Lancelot, why don't leave us, don't leave us." It's a painful thing. All of this is the test of Percival. And suddenly the stream ends, and down goes Percival in deep water. No, back up. I forgot something. After he is saved from hanging, he staggers through the woods, and suddenly he comes to, it looks like a castle, it looks like Camelot. It's shining, even though it's dark night. And a big voice comes out. "Percival, try to get the Holy Grail." "I will," says Percival. Now, and then the voice calls out. Oh, meanwhile the bridge is lowered so that Percival can cross over. And he enters a hall, and a loud voice like God, but later we'll see really it's Arthur's voice, asks him questions. What is the secret of the Grail? Who serves the Grail? And there's a third question. Percival doesn't know any of these, and he turns around in fear. Now the bridge is coming back up, and Percival climbs up there, desperate, clings, and goes down, falls down into the water. He comes back up, and he straggles through the woods. Now he's really desperate, and he sees Uriens, his fellow knight, the knight who knighted Arthur and made him a king. He sees Uriens being pursued by some bad guys, and Percival is afraid, and he hides, and he watches them kill Uriens, hiding in fear. A knight? A great knight? Impossible. He's a little bit out of his mind, I think. And after they leave, Uriens is dying. Percival comes out and holds Uriens' head a little bit, and he says, "I could have saved you, but I didn't." But Uriens only cares about one thing. Uriens says, "Percival, you are the last of us. You must find the Grail. You must." "I had a chance, but I failed. I failed," says Percival. "Keep trying. Don't stop." Dead. So these are Uriens' last words. And now Percival staggers through the woods. Now he finds the poor people and Lancelot. Now he is pushed into the water, swept downstream, and down. Down he goes in deep water. Down, down, down. The music throughout this, just wonderful. Wagnerian music. Now, he's either going to die or live. So, great moment. Percival is drowning. But in heroic efforts, he tears off all this slow dream sequence. Tears off the armor that's on him. Has to take it all off. Tears off his clothes, kind of, and up, and just almost drowns, but and this is his cleansing. This symbolizes his cleansing and his renewal. Water. Now he struggles out of the shore and he says, "Now I know, now I know." So he struggles, apparently, and he comes upon the same castle at night once again. Light shining, bridge comes down. Now he walks. Really, he resembles a Christ figure. He has only like a loincloth on, bare from the waist up. Doesn't care about anything like that. Walks calmly across the bridge into the castle, into the hall, special lightings, vast. It's a hall which has a large staircase at the end, palatial. Wonderful. And the three questions are asked to him again by this mysterious, loud, booming voice. What is the secret of the Grail? The secret of the Grail is the king and the land are one. Second, who... I don't remember the second question, but the answer, I think, is Arthur. And then the third question is... Who am I? This voice. Percival never hesitates at all. He's a totally renewed man, regenerated. Good. You are Arthur, my king. Disappears everything. Next moment he is with Arthur, and Arthur is in this terrible stupor that he's always in, just wanting to die, no energy, and Percival now has the Grail in his hands, and he brings the Grail to Arthur. Drink, drink. Arthur drinks. He doesn't jump up right away, but clearly he's reviving, and he says, "What has happened? Many knights are dead, great distress in the land, and Mordred now is going to attack you. I must rise up. Kay, his brother, half-brother, is there still serving him. My brother Kay, call the men that are left, arm them, we are going to ride, and I, your king, will lead you." Okay. He's totally renewed. By the way, this is the same actor who played Arthur as a boy. And Arthur is now a relatively old man. 45, 50, maybe. Wonderful. Okay, then we get Arthur riding at the head of soldiers in his gleaming armor, and suddenly it's spring. And I think he's riding in Chinhe. I think he is, because it's cherry blossoms. Just a profusion of cherry blossoms. It's wonderful. And the music is Orff's Carmina. Dun 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 dun. Wonderful, exhilarating, great scene. On the other hand, he's lost many knights. Now we shift our attention to Mordred and Morgana. They are prepared for the big battle. It's the night before now. And Mordred is like a general, the leader of his forces, and he has huge forces. But apparently these forces are kind of almost like robots, supernatural or not real human beings. They're the forces of the evil magic of Morgana. Suddenly there's a fog. It's at night in the camp, and an officer enters Mordred's tent and says, "There's a fog tonight. The fog is rising." "What? My mother told me that this would not happen." And Mother has planned all of this. Meanwhile, forgot to tell you this, but it's okay. The night before the battle, Arthur is struggling with himself, his conscience, tomorrow the big day, and he wanders among top dolmens, those big stones like at Stonehenge. It's Arthur communing with the nature gods, the pagan gods of Merlin and Excaliver. Forgot something else. Before he got there, he's riding through the cherry blossoms, right? And he stops at the monastery where Guinevere has been a nun all these years. And he goes in, he goes to her, she has her private room, she's the head of the monastery, she's the queen still. And he enters her room. Oh, this is key. And there she is, praying in a niche in her chapel-like room, dressed all in white with a nun's habit, it's called. And she gets off her knees and she turns around. Real good scene. Reconciliation. I guess mutual forgiveness. Arthur asks her to forgive him because he knows now that a lot that happened was his fault, and that's he has grown. She, of course, forgives him, asks him to forgive her. Of course, she's already forgiven. It's very touching. And he says, someday maybe I can just be your husband, which I would love to be. I've always loved you. She says, I've always loved you as a king, sometimes as my husband, but I would like that too, for us to be together, for us to have a chance to be together as husband and wife. And then she does something amazing. She goes to her bed, reaches under the bed, pulls out Excaliver. She has kept Excaliver these many years. The last time we saw Excaliver, Arthur was putting it in the ground next to their naked bodies. That's the last we saw. Now Arthur has Excaliver again. New hope. New hope. And then he leaves. Then the night scene where he's struggling with himself, thinking and leaning against this big rock dolmen and praying almost, calling on Merlin. He says, Merlin, I need you now more than ever. Will you be with me tomorrow for the big battle? Voice. Kind of stupid but wonderful. Arthur. And this is Merlin coming out of that iceberg kind of, icicle that he's been captive in all these years. And he's coming out. And he kind of appears as a impalpable, intangible spirit to Arthur and says, yes, basically, yes, I'll be with you tomorrow. Then Arthur goes and wakes up Kay and says, Kay, I've seen Arthur. I've seen Merlin. And Kay says, me too. He came to me in a dream. We will fight. After all, if Merlin is with them, all is well. But that's an amazing statement for the movie too, because Merlin is pagan religion. Merlin is pagan religion. And so, in a sense, the movie comes down on the side of pagan religion. On the other hand, there's Guinevere in her Christian convent, devout Christian. So, kind of both. It is interesting in the film. Okay. Now we return to Mordred's camp. Nighttime. Fog? That's impossible. So, he's going to go visit his mother, Morgana. Meanwhile, Morgana is lying on her bed. Curtains around, very elegant. She's still the beautiful woman she was before. But suddenly Merlin is there. Morgana, calling through the curtains. She sits up. What? That's impossible. And one time he's here, next second he's here. He taunts her, basically. He taunts her. And he even appears right in front of her. And she tries to claw his face, but of course can't. And he says, use the spell. Use the magic spell that gives you such power. Use it. Meanwhile, what we don't realize is that he has circled her twice and is now circling her a third time. So that when she uses this hanarachacha, or whatever it is beautiful, she is casting the spell on herself. She's destroying all her own magical powers. And that's exactly what happens. And suddenly we see her breathing out this steam. And the steam fills the room like a fog or a heavy fog or a mist. Just then, Mordred comes in. Mother, come to me, my son. But her voice has changed. It's now the voice of an old woman. Come to me, my son. to her bed. And Mordred comes through the curtains and looks through the fog, gets close to her, and sees not his beautiful Morgana, but an old and terrible, disgusting woman, who of course is the real Morgana at this point. And he is so angry, he strangles her to death. He kills her. He kills his mother. He's so disgusted, and he feels betrayed. And he was betrayed, actually. He's as much a victim as the perpetrator of evil. Anyway, next day, battle. The final moments of the game. Okay, the battle is long, fog everywhere, which helps Arthur and his men, so that sometimes the bad guys are killing each other. Suddenly, at a critical moment, Arthur is in trouble, riding... Lancelot, long beard, like we saw him, the hermit, comes in riding, no armor of course, and with a long club, a wooden club, and he starts swinging this club and killing bad guys with every turn. But gradually we see him getting exhausted and holding his side, the old wound. But meanwhile, almost everybody is dead. Almost everybody, including Arthur's guys. And Lancelot collapses, screaming to Arthur, "Arthur!" Okay, Arthur finds him. Lancelot's dying moment. Okay, forgive me, says Lancelot. Nothing to forgive, says Arthur. Lancelot dies. Now the very dramatic music. It's from Götterdämmerung of Wagner, Siegfried's funeral music. Maybe the most powerful music in opera, or matching anything, matching Beethoven's Ninth. And perfect. He stands up. Arthur has been wounded. Percival is still there. And the only one on the other side is Mordred. And here's Mordred standing there. "Come, father, let's embrace in death." Arthur, wounded, Percival wants to go, but no, this is my fight. Arthur approaches Percival. Percival stabs through him. But Arthur, great effort, knowing he's dead, walks through the stab. Mordred basically wants to die, I think, because he certainly could have run away. Instead, he holds on to that lance that he's just put through Arthur, and Arthur, with Excaliber, stabs Mordred, both apparently dead. Mordred certainly is dead, but Arthur can still talk. And so Percival comforts him, and Arthur says, "Take Excaliber, ride, find some water, throw Excaliber into the water." What? That's impossible. The land needs it. Do it, and come back and tell me what you've seen. Percival, this is the most famous part of the story, really. Arthur, this scene. Percival, though in other stories it's Sir Bedivere, but Percival rides across a hill. There's a body of water, a pond, a lake. Percival rides into the water. No. So he hides the sword, and he rides back. Arthur says, "What did you see?" Percival, "I saw nothing. The mist on the water." "Then you didn't do what I said. Go, do what I said, Percival." Percival rise, throws the sword. We follow it through the stupid but wonderful. We follow it through the air. Up out of the water comes the hand of the Lady of the Lake, of course, and it makes a perfect landing into her hand, she recedes back into the water. Percival has seen a kind of miracle, rides back to find Arthur, but Arthur's not there. And Percival's confused, of course, and he rides back to the water, and final scene of the movie, of the film, Arthur's body is on a boat. It's nighttime, it's dark. And it's dusk. Arthur's body is being taken on a boat, apparently to Avalon. He will not die. He's supposed to return to England when England needs him most. But one of the most interesting things is that in Mallory, at least, it's not clear in the movie, there are these three women attending Arthur, and one of them, Morgana. Now, what does that say? That says that we have misunderstood Morgana throughout the film. That Morgana has tried to be an agent of evil and suffering to Arthur, but really, much of what she did brought out the best in Arthur. So it's that kind of statement about evil and suffering. Great, great, great.